Hello everyone, welcome to another session on previous paper analysis. In this video, we'll be covering General Studies Paper 2 from 2014 UPSC Mains. This is part 2. In this, we'll be covering from questions 11 to 12. If you haven't watched from 1 to 10, please go back to the earlier video so that you don't miss any questions. So without any further delay, let us begin with the question number 11. Let us begin with question number 11. Do governments scheme for uplifting vulnerable and backward communities by protecting required social resources for them lead to their exclusion in establishing businesses in urban economies? So it's a multi-dimensional question. Who are the core sections of the society they are talking about here? Vulnerable and backward communities of our society. What are they asking you to identify here? By bringing in specific or targeted government schemes that specifically target vulnerable and backward communities and aid in their upliftment. By doing so, where these targeted schemes protect social resources or reserve social resources for them, does this reservation by these targeted government schemes towards vulnerable and backward communities lead to their exclusion in establishing businesses in urban economies? Now, the interesting part is the protection aspect of it. Why does reserving resources or protecting required social resources for them will result in exclusion from urban economies? So, that is the dichotomy that you have to answer in this regard. Now, moving on to question number 12. Question number 11 is a simple question. You just have to be aware of what kind of a fallout would fall on vulnerable and backward communities by targeting and reserving resources to them. On one hand, it's a good thing. On the other hand, in that process, they might end up losing access to urban economies, which at the end of the day means more access to revenue, which otherwise they would not have access to in the first place. So that should be your approach. Now coming to question number 12. An athlete participates in Olympics for personal triumph and nation's glory. Victors are showered with cash incentives by various agencies on their return. Discuss the merit of state-sponsored talent hunt and its cultivation as against the rationale of a reward mechanism as encouragement. So they are asking, you have winners in Olympics and other sporting events. When somebody wins a medal, the common or the standard response from various agencies, whether it may be state governments or organizations in our country, is to reward them with, if it is railways, they'll give them a railway job. If it is a state government, they'll give some sort of an state level gazetted officer post. And if it's any other central sponsored organization or any state sponsored organization, they would certainly announce cash rewards. So the question here they're asking is that a better way of rewarding our sports persons or athletes? Despite developing this reward mechanism as an encouragement, should our country sponsor talent hunt and cultivate those kinds of mentalities in our athletes rather than giving them rewards after their triumphant return from either Olympics or any other state sponsored events? So they are simply asking, are cash rewards better? Should there be any other alternatives than this? Suggest ways. That is what they are asking in this question. Now moving on to question number 13. Should the premier institutes or institutions like IITs and IIMs be allowed to retain premier status, allowed more academic independence in designing courses, and also decide mode/criteria of selection of students, discuss in light of growing challenges? Now the simple question is, essentially what they are asking in this question is, how important are IITs and IIMs? The second thing that they are asking is, what are the shortcomings of those premier institutions in our country? The second aspect that they are asking is, do or does these institutions have academic independence? Would they benefit by having more academic independence in designing their own courses? Instead of having a common entrance test that is being conducted by the state, should these institutions have their own independent examinations or some sort of an selection criteria, selection mode where the individual institution would itself decide the ways upon which the students are admitted into the institution itself? So that is what they are asking. Remember, this is a question that is very critical in nature, so your answer should be very clear, precise, and solution based. Not opinion based, but solution based. Now coming to question number 14. Has the cadre based civil services organization been the cause of slow change in India? Critically examine. This is like having a grenade without pin in your hand. The exam that you are writing to get into the organization itself is being questioned here. So you have to give an explanation as to why India has a cadre based civil services in the first place, right? Second thing that you have to answer is, does this cadre based civil service organization needs an overhaul, needs an upgradation? The second thing that you have to talk about, or the third thing you have to talk about, is if this organization is in the need of an upgradation or a change for that matter, then how should you go about it? That should be your answer in this regard. Again, very important question, but a thoughtful question. Coming on to question number 15. Two parallel run schemes of the government, with the Aadhaar card and NPR, one of voluntary and the other as compulsory, have led to debates at national levels and also litigations on merits. Discuss whether or not both schemes need run concurrently, analyze the potential of the schemes to achieve developmental benefits and equitable growth. Now you are being asked about two parallelly run central government schemes, Aadhaar card and NPR. When you are being asked questions like this, you need to give out how both of these perform in the sense work, functioning. They are asking you to give the parallel functioning methodologies of both of these schemes. The second thing that they are asking is, discuss the merits whether or not both schemes need run concurrently. So let us say Aadhaar card is one pi, NPR is an other pi. Hope you understand graphs and all. Is there an intersectional point between both of those pie charts? That is what they are asking. So if there is an overlap between those two programs, how can that be used to better both of these programs? And also, while explaining the importance of having both of those programs independently functioning and how beneficial would they be to the population when implemented in a proper way. So hope that is clear to you. That is the question, or that is one of the possible ways that you can answer that question. Coming to question number 16, with respect to South China Sea, maritime territorial disputes and rising tensions affirm the need for safeguarding maritime security to ensure freedom of navigation and overflight throughout the region. In this context, discuss the bilateral issues between India and China. First, explain the South China Sea dispute. Then explain why that dispute is a cause of concern for India. Right? The final thing that you have to answer is, how has this issue been affecting our relationship with China, and how India has um, behaved. Behaved is a wrong word, but what did India do to address these concerns from the Chinese side? So that is what you have to go about it. At the end of the day, China has what actions did China reciprocate with when India raised those concerns with China? So that is also something that we can discuss in this question. Coming to question number 17, the aim of information technology agreements ITAs is to lower all taxes and tariffs on information technology products by signatories to zero. What impact would such agreements have on India's interests? First, explain what information technology agreement is in detail and explain the impact of such agreements on our country. Straightforward question, straightforward answer. Just you should be aware of what ITAs are. Now moving on to question number 18. Some of the international funding agencies have special terms for economic participation, stipulating a substantial component of the aid to be used for sourcing equipment from the leading countries. Discuss on merits for such terms and if there exists a strong case not to accept such conditions in the Indian context. So they are asking you to explain foreign funding, foreign aid, and also the conditions that other countries that are providing aid, financial aid or any form of foreign aid to countries in distress or countries in need, they are asking you to specifically discuss the countries that are giving out aid to the countries in need. The countries that are giving aid are imposing certain conditions when they are giving that aid. They are asking you to discuss the conditions imposed by a aid giving country on an aid receiving country. Is that justified? Because at the end of the day, the countries that are giving money to poorer countries, they are ensuring that the money comes back to their respective country. Hope that has been clear. Let me give an example. Let us say person A is rich, person B is poor, person B is economically weak. So person A goes to person B and says, you are in need of money, let me give you 100 rupees. Person B is happy because he doesn't have a single rupee, but he's happy that he's receiving 100 rupees from person A. So in a right world, person A would simply give 100 rupees to person B without any strings attached to it, meaning without any conditions attached to it. But the world is not right in that regard. So what person A does is, person A says to person B before giving the money, I'll give you 100 rupees, but you have to promise that out of the 100 rupees that I'm giving to you, 90 rupees you have to spend in a shop that I own. Person A owns a grocery shop. So person A is saying, I'll give you 100 rupees, but you have to promise that you'll spend 90 rupees in my supermarket. So that is a condition. What is happening here? At the end of the day, the money is coming back to the person who gave in the first place. See, if the condition is that B should purchase groceries amounting to 90 rupees from A can dictate the quantity of groceries that is being given for the exchange of money in that regard. So they are asking, is that justified? Is such conditions when giving aid to poorer countries or economically weaker countries, putting restrictions, imposing conditions on that type of aid or help being provided, is that a right thing? In that regard, what has been the impact of such conditions being imposed on aid given to India till now? Is what they are asking in this question. Now, coming to question number 19. India has recently signed to become founding member of New Development Bank and also the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. How will the role of the two banks be different? Discuss the strategic importance or strategic significance of these two banks for India. Explain National New Development Bank. Explain Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. They're asking you to differentiate between NDB and AIIB, and is these agreements of any importance to India? Straightforward question. 3 points answers. Coming to the final question of this paper. 20. WTO is an important international institution where decisions taken affect countries in a profound manner. What is the mandate of WTO and how binding are their decisions? Critically analyze India's stand on the latest round of talks on food security. First, talk about WTO. Explain its mandate in the just say what are the functions of the WTO are. Talk about the decisions that they have taken recently in regards to food security and what has been India's concern or India's position in regards to food security in WTO. That should be your answer. So if you have liked the video, please like the video. The best way to help me in this regard is to share this video with your fellow friends who are preparing for competitive exams. If you really want to help, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. First, like the video. Second, share this video with your friends who are preparing for competitive examinations. 3. Subscribe to the channel all while clicking on the subscribe button. Also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss notifications. Thanks for watching. Namaste.